You lose energy every time you explain your next move. You weaken your momentum when you seek validation. Silence is not just power, it's protection. When you stop telling everyone what happens in your life, you reclaim control. You focus better, act with precision, and avoid unnecessary opinions that derail your progress. The fewer people who know your journey, the more unstoppable your results become. Master the power of privacy and watch your life transform. In a few moments, I will teach you why keeping quiet about your life creates focus, strength, and unstoppable forward momentum. You're giving away power without realizing it. You don't notice it at first. It begins as a harmless habit. Telling a friend your plan, sharing your next move, hinting at your ambition. You believe speaking it aloud will make it real, but slowly, without knowing, you give pieces of your power away. The more you reveal, the less you retain. You confuse motion with progress. You talk about the mountain you'll climb, but you never take the first step. Now ask yourself, why do you feel the urge to tell others? Is it to validate your path or to convince yourself it exists? What if I told you that silence builds more momentum than speed? That the moment you open your mouth to describe your vision, you've already delayed it? The world doesn't need your declarations, it needs your results. And so do you. You stop telling everyone because some ears are not meant to hear your calling. When you speak too soon, you invite doubt, even silent sabotage. Not all advice is helpful. Not all support is sincere. When you keep your vision close, you keep your energy focused. Silence isn't hiding, it's preserving. Picture this. Imagine you've decided to build a garden, but every day you speak of it to others instead of planting. You describe the soil, the flowers, the colors, but weeks go by and there's no garden, only words. Now imagine if, instead, you kept it quiet and worked in solitude. One morning your neighbors wake up and see blooming beauty they never saw coming. Which path builds more power? So ask yourself, are you planting seeds or just talking about gardening? The more you speak, the more you weaken your will. You were not born to explain yourself. You were born to do something so undeniable it needs no words. Every time you speak of what you're going to do, you borrow energy from your own future. You inflate your ambition with empty breath, and like a balloon, it drifts higher but becomes more fragile. You might believe that telling others creates accountability, but does it? Or does it just feed your ego, satisfied with applause before the performance has even begun? There's an ancient strength in restraint. The silent builder, the patient hunter, the quiet craftsman. Each knows that power grows in privacy. That stillness sharpens the blade. What is this really about? It's about keeping your word to yourself. When you speak too much, you give others the chance to discourage, distract, or even derail you. But when you move in silence, your work speaks volumes before you ever utter a sentence. Imagine this. You tell everyone you'll rise before dawn and train. They nod. Some support you, some doubt you, some secretly hope you fail. But now you've tied your discipline to their reactions. If they mock you, you might stop. If they cheer too soon, you might feel done. But what if you told no one and let your sharpened body and focused mind reveal the truth later? You ask, why do I want to tell? Do I need applause or results? Would you rather be praised for your potential or respected for your outcomes? Don't speak your greatness into the air. Build it into the ground beneath your feet. Your journey is not a performance. This path is not a stage. Yet too many walk as if the world is watching, waiting for approval, performing their growth instead of living it. But success is not theater. It is quiet struggle. It is silent war within. When you turn your life into a performance for others, you lose touch with your own desires. You begin to bend your goals to fit someone else's applause. You forget why you started. You trade authenticity for approval, and in doing so, you walk someone else's path, never your own. Why must you stop telling everyone? Because their eyes are not your compass. Their cheers are not your purpose. You do not need witnesses, you need conviction. And conviction grows in solitude. What happens when you stop performing? You stop worrying how it looks. You start focusing on how it feels. You begin making choices that align with your mission, not their admiration. And your energy, no longer drained by the need to be seen, begins to rise. Picture this. You decide to write a book. You start sharing quotes, talking about pages, showing glimpses of chapters, but you never finish. The performance exhausts the purpose. Now, picture the opposite. You go quiet. You write, you revise, you finish. One day you place the book in someone's hands and it speaks for itself. Which version wins? So I ask you, are you building a legacy or narrating a fantasy? Silence attracts strength. Noise invites doubt. There is something magnetic about the man who says nothing, the one who doesn't need to announce his every plan. He moves in stillness, but there's fire behind his eyes. His silence says, I know where I'm going. I don't need you to. The world doubts what it hears too soon. When you speak your dreams aloud, you open them up to the winds of opinion, and most winds do not carry, they scatter. People project their fears, their failures, their disbelief, and if you are not armored in silence, their doubt becomes yours. You keep quiet because noise weakens your focus, because stillness breeds certainty, because inner conviction must be protected like a flame from the wind. Imagine this. You're building a bridge across a canyon. The wood is fragile. The ropes are thin. If you shout about the bridge before it's built, a crowd gathers. They criticize the design. They question the length. They call it impossible. The noise distracts you. The pressure weakens your hand. But if you build in silence, when it's done, they will walk across in awe. You don't need to prove your path. You need to walk it, unshaken. Let your silence grow roots. Let your steps, not your speech, echo. What if the most powerful thing you ever did was keep your mouth shut until your actions made the noise? Not everyone deserves to know your next step. You think everyone deserves to know what you're doing, what you're dreaming, where you're headed? But the truth is, most people do not deserve that access. Not everyone is equipped to hold your vision with care. Some ask out of genuine concern, but many ask with other motives: curiosity, control, comparison. They don't ask to cheer you on. They ask to calculate your pace, to make sure they're ahead, or to prepare the hooks that will pull you back down when you start to rise. When you share too much, too early, you give away your advantage. You let outside voices speak into something sacred, something still forming. You hand over the raw blueprint of your soul, and others start scribbling on it with their own doubts, their own fears, their own unresolved failures. And before long, you look at your dream through their eyes, not yours. You start to hesitate, not because you're unsure of your purpose, but because they made you unsure of your path. You begin to shrink, not because your vision is small, but because the room you spoke in was too shallow to hold it. So you must learn this truth. Your journey is not for public consumption. Your dream is not an announcement. It's a covenant. And not everyone who smiles at you is safe. Silence is not secrecy. It's sovereignty. It's protection. It's wisdom. When you keep your vision close, you let it grow without interference. You preserve its power. You protect your momentum. And most of all, you keep your edge. Because no one can prepare for what they can't predict. Consider this. Imagine you're planning a big move. A new city, a new job, a new chapter. You tell everyone. Some clap, some laugh, some warn you of every risk they can imagine. You start doubting, you delay, and eventually you stay. But what if you had packed quietly? What if you made no announcements, answered no probing questions, gave no explanations? What if one morning you simply left? No noise, no drama. And what if months later they hear about your success, not from you, but from the ripple effect of what you've built? That's power, that's control. That's how legacies are born, not through declarations, but through demonstration, through silent execution, through action without applause. So ask yourself this: before your next conversation, before your next update, before your next vulnerable share, do they need to know, or do you need to move? Do they need to hear it, or do you need to live it? Because most times the answer isn't tell them, it's show them, quietly, powerfully, unapologetically. Let your next step be invisible. Let your transformation be private. Let them wonder where you went, because what really matters is where you arrived. People can't ruin what they don't know. The fewer people who know your next move, the safer your mission becomes. Not because you are hiding, and not because you're afraid, but because you understand the value of protection. Wisdom doesn't shout. It walks with quiet certainty. In a world that urges you to broadcast every step, true power lies in restraint. When you speak too early, you invite interference. You swing the door open, and you never know who walks through. It might not be a critic. It might not even be someone with bad intentions. All it takes is one whisper, one raised eyebrow, one well-timed "are you sure?" to plant a seed of doubt where there was once conviction. You think silence is weakness, but that's a lie. Silence is armor. It is the stillness that guards your fire while it's being built. It is the decision to protect your momentum from the clumsy hands of outside influence. You don't leave your wallet on the sidewalk and expect it to remain untouched. So why would you leave your vision out in the open, exposed, unguarded, and vulnerable? Your dream is more valuable than gold. It deserves privacy. It deserves protection. People don't always sabotage with words that sting. They do it quietly, in the pause after you share something sacred, in the hesitant tone when they say, "That's ambitious," in the advice masked as concern. They don't have to tear you down. They only need to make you pause long enough to start doubting yourself. And that pause, that's when your focus slips. That's when the flame dims. That's when hesitation creeps in. Not because your dream isn't right, but because you shared it in the wrong room. So ask yourself, why risk it? Why explain what isn't ready? Why seek validation from people who don't see what you see? Some will laugh, yes. Others will try to imitate you. But most will just pour their fear into your soil. And fear kills faster than failure ever could. They don't mean to hurt you, but their small minds cannot stretch to match your big vision. So they poke holes in it until you deflate. Picture a blacksmith forging a blade. The fire is hot, the hammer is steady, but too many onlookers crowd the workshop. One offers advice, another criticizes the curve, a third simply watches in silence, their doubt unspoken but felt. The blacksmith, distracted, misses a beat. The strike is crooked. He burns himself, not because he lacked the strength, but because he lacked solitude. Now imagine, he works alone, no eyes, no voices, just heat, metal, focus. The result? A flawless weapon, quietly formed, violently sharp. One day he walks into the town square. No one saw it coming. So again, ask yourself, do I need encouragement or results? Applause or outcome? Some things are too sacred to share before they're solid. Protect what's forming. Hide what's holy. People cannot destroy what they cannot touch, and they cannot touch what they never saw. Talking about it feels like progress, but it isn't. You speak of your dream, and for a moment it feels real. It gives you a rush, a swell of pride, a sense of motion. It feels like a step forward, but it isn't. You haven't moved. You've released words, not actions. You've stirred emotion, not results. And in that moment, without realizing it, you've traded real movement for the illusion of momentum. Talking about what you'll do has stolen the urgency to actually do it. This is the danger. The more vividly you describe the future, the more your brain mistakes imagination for progress. You talk about the book you'll write, the business you'll start, the discipline you'll master. You feel the satisfaction of ambition, and your mind believes the work has already begun. But nothing has moved. No pages written, no sweat spilled, no effort invested, just noise, just dreams dressed up as declarations. You've bought yourself a dose of accomplishment you didn't earn, and now you're less hungry to actually work. That's the trap. And it's everywhere. Our culture rewards the promise more than the product. We admire vision even before it's built. We cheer for the person who says, "I'm going to change everything," even if they never take a single step. But your mind must know better. You must be ruthless with yourself. If it's not real, don't speak it. If it's not done, don't display it. Your words should never arrive before your work, because every time you talk without acting, you rob your future of its fire. Why is this so easy to fall into? Because praise is addictive. You tell someone your plan. They say that's brilliant. They admire your ambition. You feel seen, elevated, powerful. And in that rush, your hunger fades. You feel full, but you've taken no bite. You've done nothing but describe a dish you haven't cooked. And your body, your mind, your purpose, they're still starving. Real builders don't need that hit. They don't wait for applause. They don't chase admiration. They chase completion. They chase the day they can look at the result and say, it's done. Their satisfaction isn't in what people think, it's in what they build. They aren't running their mouths, they're running their path. Picture this clearly. You stand before a group and announce, "I'm going to run 10 miles every morning." Immediately, the praise pours in. You're so driven. That's impressive. But now the pressure mounts. You've painted a version of yourself you haven't become. And if you fall short, it's visible. The weight of expectation turns your ambition into anxiety. You quit because now you're running from judgment, not toward excellence. But now, picture the opposite. You say nothing. You wake early. You lace up. You run. You return. Day after day, quietly. No promises, no performance, just sweat and progress. And one day someone looks at you and asks, "What changed?" You smile and say nothing. Because real change doesn't require an announcement. So ask yourself, do you want to feel good today or win tomorrow? Do you want the illusion of greatness or the grit of reality? If it isn't done, don't speak it. Let your work be the proof. Let your actions be the noise. Replace empty praise with actual power. Don't trade your fire for applause, because the dream is sacred and it deserves to be earned, not announced. A dream spoke too soon is a dream stolen. Some dreams don't die in the battlefield of failure. They're stolen before they've even begun, not by enemies, not by critics, but by your own unguarded voice. You speak of it too soon. You open the door before it's time. And the moment the words leave your mouth, they no longer belong fully to you. The world hears it, snatches it, twists it, and before long the dream feels foreign, shaped more by others' opinions than your original intent. What was once yours now seems distant, fragile, doubtful, because when a dream is new, it is delicate. Like a seed just planted, it needs to stay underground for a while. The light is too harsh, the world is too noisy. It doesn't take much, a mocking smile, a raised eyebrow, a well-meaning but misplaced suggestion, to pull it out of the soil before it ever takes root. A root does not grow on the surface. A spark does not become fire when exposed to the wind. The early stages of anything sacred require darkness, solitude, protection, a place where intention can deepen without interruption. But we often forget this. We feel the spark of something great, an idea, a goal, a vision, and we rush to share it. We want to be understood, we want support, we want recognition before the result, but most of the world isn't built to carry the weight of a dream that hasn't yet formed. They can't see what you see, they don't feel what you feel, and that's not always their fault, but their misunderstanding becomes dangerous. They offer advice not rooted in faith but in fear. They try to improve what they don't understand. They confuse your direction. And you, if you're not grounded, start to reshape your dream to please their perspective. Before long, it's no longer yours. It becomes a hybrid of suggestions, doubts, and diluted ambition. You wake up wondering if the original dream was even real. It was real, but you exposed it before it had the strength to survive. So you must guard it. Like fire in the early stages, cup your hands around it. Like a sculptor in the privacy of his shed, work quietly. Don't explain, don't defend, don't declare, just build. Let your silence speak louder than promises, because not every plan deserves a voice. Not every idea needs an audience. Silence is not secrecy, it is strength. It is choosing to protect rather than perform. Picture a sculptor. He drags a block of stone into a small shed. No one asks what he's making. He doesn't invite them in. He doesn't post sketches. He works in the quiet. Day after day, chisel in hand, he chips away. Had he shared the vision too soon, they'd laugh, they'd interrupt. That doesn't look like anything. Are you sure? Try something easier. But he says nothing. He just works. Until one day, the doors open and a statue stands tall. And now they admire, now they understand. But they weren't meant to witness the process, only the result. So ask yourself, honestly, have you spoken your dream too early? Are you feeding it with labor or weakening it with exposure? The next time your mouth opens, pause. Let the idea grow stronger, steadier, silent. Because sometimes the silence is the very thing that keeps your dream alive. And when it finally emerges, it won't ask for applause, it will command it. Your growth is personal, not public. You are not growing for display. You are growing for destiny. And that path, if it is true, if it is sacred, cannot be shared with the crowd. It is not for applause or validation. It is a walk you take alone, step by step in silence through fire, confusion, grace, and grit. Some moments in life are not meant to be witnessed. They are meant to shape you in solitude. They are not made for sharing. They are made for forging. Yet in a world that worships visibility, many forget that the most powerful transformations often happen unseen. What do most people do instead? They confuse change with spectacle. They believe that every adjustment must be documented, that every shift must be announced, as if telling the world what you're becoming is the same as actually becoming it. But it's not. Growth is not performance. Growth is not something to declare. It is something to endure, something to embody. It doesn't seek the spotlight, it seeks the soil, the work, the weight. Why must you keep your growth private? Because the moment you announce it, you limit it. You give it a shape too soon. You tell the world, this is who I am now. And suddenly, you feel pressure to be that version every day. You stop evolving freely. You stop adapting to what life is really asking of you, and instead, you begin performing, living for the image you painted with your own words. The raw, chaotic, deeply personal process of true change becomes a show, and in doing so, you lose the very freedom that growth requires. True transformation is not tidy. It's not photogenic. It's not a clean staircase upward. It is messy. It is private. It is filled with breakdowns, shifts, relapses, and breakthroughs. You might grow in directions you didn't expect. You might destroy old dreams and birth new ones. You might change so profoundly that what you declared last month no longer fits this week. So why confine yourself with a narrative? Why hand the pen to the crowd when your story is still unfolding? Let them wonder. Let them guess. Let them speak in confusion while you walk in clarity. You owe no explanation for your evolution, and if someone demands one, that's a sign they were never meant to walk beside you in the first place. Think of it like this. Imagine planting a seed. You press it into the soil, water it, and leave it alone. You do not dig it up each morning to see if it sprouted. You do not parade it through town to show others, look, I'm growing something. You nurture it quietly. You protect it silently. You trust the darkness, the slowness, the patience of it all. And then one day, without warning, a green shoot pierces through the ground. And later still, a bloom. It arrives when it's ready, not when someone asked for it, not when you tried to prove it. Let your life be that seed. Let it unfold in its own rhythm. Let it bloom without warning. Let your silence hold space for something real to emerge. The most powerful version of you will not be born through declarations. It will be born through discipline, struggle, and the kind of private work that no one claps for. But when it comes, it will need no introduction. It will speak through your strength, your energy, your presence. So ask yourself honestly, are you sharing your growth or performing it? Are you truly transforming, or are you rehearsing for applause? Is your silence a lack of confidence, or is it the presence of power? You don't owe the world your process. You owe yourself the respect to live it fully, without interruption, without performance, without premature applause. Let your work become the voice. Let your results do the talking. Let your transformation arrive quietly, so that when it speaks, the world has no choice but to listen. Every time you speak, you invite interference. You may not realize it in the moment, but every time you speak, every time you share your plans, your hopes, your vision, you open a gate. Every conversation becomes a door, and the more you speak, the more doors you leave unlocked. People walk in. Some come with curiosity, others with concern. Some offer encouragement, others offer doubt. And the dangerous truth is this: not everyone who enters your mind deserves to be there. It's not always malicious. Some people genuinely believe they're helping. They offer advice, share experiences, give warnings, but what they don't realize, and what you must, is that intention doesn't equal impact. A kind suggestion can derail months of clarity. A simple question can make you hesitate. A light-hearted joke can cast a shadow over your certainty because your vision is still forming. It's tender. It doesn't need spectators. It needs protection. You have to become ruthless about what you let in. This isn't about fear. It's about focus. You are not obligated to explain yourself. You are not required to update everyone on what you're building. Silence is not secrecy. It's strategy. The more you talk, the more you dilute. The more opinions you invite, the more you scatter your power. And what begins as a clear, burning purpose becomes a fog of confusion you can't trace back to its source. Think about what happens when too many voices gather in your mind. You begin to second guess, not because you're weak, but because clarity can't survive chaos. You start to shift your direction, not from conviction, but from pressure. You water down your dream so it fits their understanding. You start walking not toward your vision, but toward their comfort. And slowly you realize you've left your path